Hello guys, what is up? My name is the Advanced Playmaker and welcome to the second episode in my Tactics Spotlight series where I shine a spotlight on some of the tactics that I use and I find success with. And today we've got a bit of a weird looking one. As you can see, you could characterize this tactic in a lot of different ways in terms of the title of it, but I'm going to label it as a 2-3-2-1-2. A very attacking tactic, which as you can see I use with Man United. And yeah, we're going to go over it today. This tactic is a very attacking one. It's all about getting as many goals as possible and outscoring the opponent, choking them of possession, much like my other tactic. But it's a bit more offensive because we have more people in more advanced areas more of the time. And I don't know how many more times I can say the word more. But anyway, we're going to go into how this works. And first of all, like we did last time, the most important thing about the tactic is looking at the things like the mentality, the shape, and the team instructions to show what kind of philosophy we've got and how we're going to implement ourselves on the opponents. So first of all, we look up here. Got an attacking mentality. We'll have a quick look at the description here. Aims to exploit space in the final third by employing a fast tempo and direct attack and passing supported by defensive mentality aimed at recycling possession. It focuses heavily on getting players forward into space and allows them the creative freedom to express themselves. Now that last paragraph is a very important one. In this tactic we have an advanced playmaker, a trequartista and advanced forward, which are all very sort of free attacking roles. I would say. But there you go, that's the mentality. It's an attacking tactic. Because it's an attacking tactic as well, and the fact we only really have 3 at the back, we have 2 defenders and a half-back, I would recommend having another tactic alongside this to look to close out the game. This tactic is all about getting as many goals as you can, basically. So we're going to look at the team shape next. We've got a fluid team shape, much like before. In my other tactics video where it says the team is split into broad attacking and defensive units, more creative players responsible for attacking phase and defensive ones responsible for defensive phase, and everyone chips in with the transition phase basically. So if we go over here to the tactic, it's split in half in terms of attacking players and defensive players. And then so these sort of this back 5 is all about defense, these guys are all about the attack. And then they both sort of blend in together for the transition phase, so the wing backs helping with the transition, so the half backs, and then the AP and the CM also drop it deep to get the ball to bring it up to the attacking players further up the pitch. So last but not least, in terms of philosophy, we're going to look at the instructions. These are the general team instructions. We've got shorter passing on, work the ball into the box and play out of defence. So this is all about playing football, attacking football the right way. We're not just trying to counter-attack, abuse pace or space. We're all about trying to build up good attacking moves and using the creativity of our advanced players to get the goals, work the space. We've also got exploit the middle, play narrower on, because we have 2 strikers as you've seen and a trek and an advanced playmaker. So those 4 being on like really prime attacking players going forward. They're all through the middle. They're not really supplying any kind of width apart from maybe the advanced forward and the trek drifting out wide every so often. It's our wing backs that are supplying the width, and they're obviously not primarily focused on attacking. They're about offering width, keeping possession, helping with the transition phase and working at the space. So in terms of when we're actually going forward and we're playing the ball, we want to go through the middle. In terms of defensively, this is another tactic where I'm using the offside trap because we want to pressure and choke the opposition out of having as much possession as possible. I find that's really the best way with a match engine this year, is to always play high pressure football, push higher up, maybe not always play the offside trap, but in this case with only 2 centre backs and 1 DM being solely defensively orientated. That's very hard to say. Yeah, we're going to play the offside trap because I believe we should be able to exploit that, and it's quite a good strength considering we don't have numbers back. We prevent the short goalkeeper distribution. Now it's up to you whether you have that on or not. I'm Man United, so I go into almost every game being the favourite, so we want to choke. We can afford to try and choke the opposition even more out of possession. If you're not comfortable with that idea, you don't think maybe your 2 strikers have the legs or the work rate, teamwork to help prevent that and make it effective, then don't bother with it, turn it off. You sacrifice maybe a little bit of the time on the ball, giving the opposition a bit more time on the ball, but it's not the end of the world. We also play a lower tempo. We don't need to play a fast attacking tempo because we're going to have the ball quite often with the way that we pressure and try and build up through possession. with 3 centre midfield players and an attacking midfield player, we're really going to try and get a lot of the ball through the middle. Man, we should win that midfield battle. So that's all the instructions done. Next, we're going to move on to the individual positions. So first position we're going to concentrate on here is the goalkeeper, and I've gone for a sweeper keeper on defence. Basically, I don't really mess around too much with goalkeepers. Sweeper keeper has done a really good job here, considering we're pushing up high up the pitch and we only have 2 centre backs, 2 dedicated defenders. Even though the half back does kind of half count as a back, half make up a back 3. We want a sweeper keeper to sweep up those balls when fast attack and counter attacks come at us. And that's about it. So next we're going to look at the 2 centre backs and what we're going to look in for them in terms of what stats we want from them. So I've gone for the simple partnership of 2 central defenders on defend. It worked really well for me. In terms of key stats, I just go with all the key stats that are here, but once again, because we are playing the offside trap and pushing up high, you do want to have more mobile defenders, so acceleration especially and pace, not so much but mostly acceleration, is really good to have and quite key in this. If you're going to play a high line with the offside trap, players do need to be quick to make sure that does not get exploited, but the standard defending attributes like heading, marking, tackling, all important, concentration and anticipation, stuff like that, positioning and decisions. So just go with that is my recommendation, along with pace and acceleration. So the next thing we're going to move on to is the DM. As you can see here, I've gone for a half-back, so what it does do is sort of make that back line a back 3 most of the time. So we're going to have a look into that player right now and what we want from him. So here you go, guys. Basically this guy operates mostly as sort of a more advanced central defender. When the players come onto you, the opposition come onto you, he's going to slot back in between those 2 centre backs and make up a back 3. But when we're in the transition phase, he's going to help out with possession recycling, and also when he goes forward, offer a little outlet for players to maybe pick a pass for someone more advanced at the pitch. So there's a lot of stats here that are very key for a halfback. Compared to our defenders, however, he doesn't have to be as quick, but it would be good to have yet another quite pacey halfback, but it's not as essential. Mostly for this formation, we're looking at the defensive side of the halfback stats, because we have quite a lot of other players in the team who are going to win that midfield battle and keep recycling the possession. But also, because he's a halfback and a DM, time and creativity on the ball is great to have also, but mostly you want to focus on being a defensive halfback more than the sort of support side of it, even though there's not a support role for the halfback. So having a look through here, it highlights things like first touch passing and technique, which, as I said, are the more offensive traits, but mostly you want to be looking at the marking, the tackling, the heading, having good composure and decisions and concentrations and anticipation. Anticipation is a very, very important one to have. You need to be able to anticipate when attacks are coming, when to drop back into that hole, and to communicate with his defenders. Things like work rate and teamwork are very important also. And as I said earlier, pace is also a very good stat to have. It's not as essential, but I definitely would not recommend having a slow halfback, put it that way. So yeah, basically look at these key stats. They're very, very sort of a good guideline to look at. But focus more on the defensive ones rather than the sort of supporting midfielder, possession-orientated ones. And that's our defence done. Let's go on to the next positions. So here we go. The next 2 we're going to go for here are the 2 wing-backs. Both wing-backs on attack. These guys are basically going to supply all of the width in this formation. They're going to help recycle possession, build up play by spreading out and stretching the opposition's midfield and defence. They also add a little bit in the final third, bombing in late and running down the wings to help supply crosses to the 2, well, I'd say 3 forwards, our advanced forward, deep line forward, and a track. So yeah, let's have a look into what we want from these guys. So here we go. Here are the stats. Here are the recommended stats. Now, in terms of these wing backs, we're looking for more offensive wing back stats rather than defensive ones. Defensive ones are sort of important, but the main role for this wing back position is not to be as part of the flat back 5, because we've got a back 3, but they just need to be hard workers, who are willing to get back and also run up and down that line. Mainly we're looking for them to be an asset on the ball and going forward. So looking through these key stats, crossing and dribbling are the first 2 technical ones that come up. Those are really, really, really good to have. We come down here, like marking I don't think is very important, but passing definitely is. Tackling is as well, because you want these guys to be tackling. when they come up, against the opposition wide men. Concentration decisions are good ones to have, and flair is a really good one to have to help them beat that man and try and get that cross in. Off the ball is very, very important. Positioning, not so much, but it is very good to have. Teamwork and work rate obviously are the massive key ones, along with pace and stamina and acceleration and natural fitness, I'd say, as well. You really want this guy just to be putting in the hard work, getting up and down the touchline, supporting the moves in the centre, and helping get the odd cross into the box. So yeah, an offensive wing back you're looking for here, guys. Hard workers who are quick and can deliver themselves a cross or a good pass into a good area. So now we've done with that. We've done the goalkeeper, the 2 and the 3. Now we move on to the centre midfielders. And the first centre midfielder we've got here is a centre midfielder on support. You can go for a variation of different roles here. I've personally gone for a centre midfielder on support. You could go for maybe a more defensive centre midfield role, maybe like a ball winner or a centre midfielder on defend if you want. Or if you really need to push for even more goals, you could probably go for a very offensive second midfielder here, maybe a second AP if you're really looking for the goals, a box-to-box midfielder perhaps even a roaming playmaker, sorry. But I personally don't recommend that role. It could work though. But we're going to go into what this role is basically. This is what I've got for this tactic, so let's have a look at it. So here we go. Now this guy is going to be the centre midfielder who puts in all the legwork. He's going to be an asset helping the team go forward, but mostly he's going to be there to help the transition phase a lot, pick out those passes, and also put in the legwork. When teams do counter at you with pace, this guy's got to be there to help cover with the 3 at the back, help the wing backs out a bit if they're getting doubled up on or exploited at the back, and just generally be there to help that sort of maybe a bit more defensive side of the game, and then definitely the transition phase. That's the most important area he's looking at. So you look across these stats here, we've got things like first touch, passing and tackling are very key, of course. Marking as well is kind of good to have. It's not the most vital of stats, but a good marker is good to have in that centre midfield role. Basically, I'd go for most mental attributes here. They recommend concentration, decision and determination. I agree with that. Off the ball is important. Positioning, teamwork and work rate definitely. Vision's a great one to have as well. I'd also go with composure. You want him to be composed on the ball. Anticipation as well, to be able to anticipate and cut out those passes when teams come at you on the counter attack. And in terms of physicals, they've only highlighted stamina here. I agree. He doesn't have to be fast or agile or anything. As long as he's just got some good legs, he's got stamina and natural fitness, maybe some strength as well on him to help win that centre midfield battle. That will be absolutely great. So there you go. That's our centre midfielder on support. He's sort of the workhorse in the centre midfield. And now we're going to move on to the next centre midfielder. So the next centre midfielder we've got here is an advanced playmaker attack. Personally, my favourite centre midfield role. And we're going to have a look into this guy, what he does for the team and how he supports us going forward. So this guy is going to be one of our main options for finding the front 2 men. In terms of getting the ball forward and being creative. As you can see from his recommended stats, no physicals really matter at all, and I completely agree with that. Having someone who's quite quick is quite helpful, maybe if you can somehow find him on the counter attack. But mainly what we want to look at here is having a solid mental game to him, being very good with his vision and composure, and his finding players off the ball, and also his ability to run off the ball and bomb forward past the track and a deep line forward, and also obviously have the technical prowess to find passes. So like dribbling, first touch, passing and technique, all very key. Having good long shots is a really good trait to have on this player. And also maybe a bit of tackling when you're pressuring up high up the pitch. Having a good tackling stat on as many players as possible is always great. And then you have a look here. I'd say once again another position where we want almost all the mentals to be really good. They've got all of them here. Determination isn't too big of a one, but work rate is key. Very key stat on this. All the ones they've highlighted, they're having flair, good decisions, composure and vision and such like that. Position is not massively important. Concentration is kind of good to have, and being determined is good to have as well. But we want all those sort of creative mental stats. We want to have him to be a good playmaker, a good visionary, but not also being able to set up the attacks for others and setting through others, but also have the option of bombing forward past the deep line forward we've got and a trequartista, and being a threat running in late into the box, and maybe scoring a few goals from outside the box also. But yeah, there we go. There's our advanced playmaker, sorry, our attacking centre midfield player he is. And yeah, you just want to have a really free, creative centre midfielder in this position. So onto the attacking trio now. The first one we've got onto here is the AMC, which is on a Trequartista. This guy's basically got a free license to do what he wants in the higher third of the midfield, and just look to find space, create, dribble past people, cause problems for defenders, drag like defenders out of position and occupy them. He's just there to basically wreak havoc where he can and rip open the defences. So let's have a look at his stats. So here we go, guys. As you can see, all they've highlighted is the really good offensive stats here. Got finishing, first touch, passing and technique, all massively key. This guy's just there to open up defences, find space and be a constant threat. Dribbling is also a really key one for me as well. Also, in terms of mentals, you just want to have good decisions, really high flair, really high off the ball, and his vision's going to be great. As you can see, Juan Mata is absolutely class Trequartista in this role. Anticipation is really good to have as well, and also composure. And they've got here agility. That is a key role. Having a pacey dribbler in this role is really awesome to have as well, because he can sort of create chances and carve open space for himself. But he's there just to be a nuisance. He's constantly going to be at the pitch, always going to be a counter-attacking threat with him and the advanced forward. They're going to be sitting themselves on the halfway line when other teams are like pressuring into our box, if that occasion does arise. Teamwork is also a key position to have here, even though he's got a really free role. If he's a good team worker when it comes to the pressing of the opposition and stuff, that's really good. And I think long shots is a really good thing to have on here as well. If he can work himself some space, having a good long shot to punish defenders not pressing him enough, really helps as well. So that's a Trequartista. Let's get on to the two strikers. So the first striker we've got here is a deep lying forward on support. This guy is here basically to drag defenders out of position and try and sort of help others get into the game, get the Trek, the advanced forward and the advanced playmaker into the game, and look to create chances for others, and with his hold-up play and his sort of presence and his runs off the ball, to open up space, set up space for other people to run into, and they basically take the opportunities. He can also be a threat himself on the edge of the box, but mostly he looks to set up others. So let's have a look at that. Now, as I said before my other episode, don't bother looking at the stats of the person I've got on here. Danny Ings isn't really going to be playing deep lying forward much for me. He just did in the last game. But have a look at the key stats. So we've got here dribbling, first touch, passing and technique, and of course as a striker you'd usually see finishing highlighted as that, but as I said earlier, his primary function is not there to score goals. He's there to help set up other people with his movement and his passing and his vision basically, and you can see that reflected into his mental stats. Composure, decisions, off the ball, teamwork and vision are all key stats. Anticipation as well, anticipating mistakes and anticipating how the play is going to go, and strength and balance are also the two key physical stats. He doesn't have to be a quick player, but also in this position having high tackling is kind of a good thing to have, and high work rate also, because he's going to be dropping back for defensive duties rather than the Trequartista. He's going to be defending corners when we do get pressed back, when the rare opportunities the opponents do have the ball. He's going to have to be there being a nuisance, pressuring people and helping out defensively where he can. So that's the deep lying forward. You've got one more position to go, probably the most key position, and my favourite position out of this tactic is the advanced forward. So let's go on to that. So there he is, the advanced forward on attack. This guy is your goal getter. This guy is all about just grabbing goals, running into space, being a nuisance and finishing all the goals that the other creative players set up for you. He is the pinpoint. Now, as you can see in the stats, and I'll show you in a minute, Falcao got a lot of goals in this position. Now, I understand Falcao is probably one of the best, if not the best striker in this game, out-and-out striker that is. But still, he's going to be a focal point. I've used this tactic on a few other saves I've got, and the advanced forward bags a lot of goals. So let's have a look at that. So here we go, guys. Here's the advanced forward we've got here. You could have a poacher here if you have a striker that's literally want to just get the goals and finish, and not help out a bit with the transition phase. Because this is a possession-based tactic and we're playing narrow, I want him not just to be solely looking to beat the last defender. As an advanced forward, that's what he does do, and he does spearhead the moves, but also he is going to try and look to set up a few other people if like the Trek gets into space and such like that, even though his primary goal is to get into space and score. So we're looking at the key stats here: dribbling, finishing, first touch and heading. Finishing, first touch, and heading are absolutely the most key stats in this. Dribbling is really good to have as well when he gets on the ball and tries to dribble at his man. Passing is a good one to have as well, so we can help lay off other people, the other striker perhaps into position, or the trequartista. Anticipation, composure is really key, decision is really key, and determination is really key. And off the ball is a massive stat in terms of mental stats to have. High work rate is really good to have as well, also because, you know, the more he works, the better, basically trying to find that space. Acceleration and balance are the key ones they highlight in the physical stats. Acceleration is really good to have that burst of space to beat the defender. Balance is good to have as well. Strength is really good to have as well, and jumping reach. So, you know, strength to help shrug off his man, and jumping reach to get onto those crosses that we're going to have from our wing backs. So there you go, guys. There's all the key stats of all the positions. I've explained a bit how those positions work. Now we're going to have a quick look at how I did with Man United and how this tactic works in practice. So let's have a quick look at that. So here you go, guys. You can see there is a lot of green in that, and a lot of those green results also have a lot of goals for. Now, as I said at the start of the episode, this tactic is all about getting goals. I didn't have a second tactic here to close out games, which is probably a little bit of a disadvantage where we lost a few of the games. But as you can see, we scored a mighty amount of goals, including we had a 4-0 win at home here against Man City, 3-0 away at Tottenham, 3-0 at Liverpool, 5-1 at Chelsea. We beat Arsenal. We played Arsenal 4 times in like a month. We didn't score anything less than 3 goals against them. 4 goals for us, 5 goals for us, 3 goals for us, 4 goals for us. So this is all about going out there and getting lots of goals, especially if you've got a dominant team in your league. So there you go, guys. There's the results. I hope you enjoyed this episode. There'll be a link down below for you to download this tactic. Try it out for yourself. Leave in the comments down below how it goes and how you think, like what you think about the tactic, whether you like it, if there's any improvements you think I could use, and anything you've got to say about the tactic, basically. And also leave a comment down below if you use this, how it goes for you. But thanks very much for watching, guys. I've been the Advanced Playmaker. Goodbye.